run, come, wasm, need, kazi, ease, uki, kaz, mrzgdu, ilks, run, kavzm, nid, kze, is, ake, kaz, mrzgdu, ilks, run, kavzm, need, kazi, ease, uki, kaz, mrzgdu, ilks. What are your initial impressions of this chant for Imbolc?
Well, as I was listening to the chant, it came to me like a goddess type creature, like with made of golden light, and the number 1 and 7, like 17. That's what I just felt from that.
Well, we don't have to, think of it necessarily this way, but some people consider this file pot, which is sort of the seasonal decoration, as the bed of Bridget, and opposite in Imbolc is Lunasa, so the midsummer. For in our way of thinking, just like Imbolc is the midwinter in our way of thinking, but in that way of thinking, it's the start of fall, and this is the start of spring. Yeah, this is like the bed. So the character in the bed, so the thing of healing and all that stuff. But you take, to make one of these, you take reeds, or in my case, I've been using fuzzy straws, or whatever they're called, the pipe cleaner things, but they're not pipe cleaners anymore. But you fold them in half, and then you kind of, keep moving over, and then you kind of twist the ends or puts ties on the ends. And I like to do it all in the same piece, but other people will use rubber bands or or other parts of the reed and tie something. So that's the decoration there. We have Mrzgdu is the word for mountain. And two things. I don't know. Somebody gave me this and a bunch of stuff, so it's some costume thing. They thought I would find it useful, I guess. These I found, both of them. I had this tested in particular because someone's like, this could be something. So I'm going to take it to my to the jewelry shop that I work for you and test it. But I have a rule. If it's something non-perishable and maybe a value or something, I keep it for a year. And once I've kept it for, by law, the law of the land is a month, but I keep to the old rules of a year. And I have my thought talisman, Han, as in Haniel, but not without the L part, and some mystical symbols. And Jehovah, which obviously is the wrong form, but if you see me make my, if I get my dark mirror for my temple in place. Now, what I would like is to be about 3 feet by 3 feet, each dimension 3 feet. And sort of work sort of like a 4-sided stone, sort of, but it's going to have a face. It's going to have a big dark mirror. And one of the things you do with that dark mirror is you have the T, and those cross points is the T sound, so the Earth and Saturn, and sort of a spiral without it. So that's what I'm going to do there. So that thing reminds me of that. And snowflake obsidian with silver.
Oh, pretty.
And it looks a lot better up close.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, it's not snowflake obsidian. It's unkite. Okay, unkite. A stone. It's a green stone. Okay, things were
Green.
dark, so I wasn't sure for a second which one.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see it now.
So it's a unkite stone. So it's a stone of
I've got a
compromise, working together, that sort of stuff.
I've got a little jade or something like jade. Says
So
it's jade.
I over the years I've acquired some stuff. It's not like I went out and spent $50 for the next ritual jewelry or
Mhm.
something. That's not how things went down. Um, because as people, as some people will know, I've been at this since I was like 7 years old or something. So it's like, to some degree.
Yes.
I was mentioning the power of myth, and that's sort of what I do with all this stuff here, is I use the power of these myths and I connect to it with my own intentions and beliefs and that sort of stuff. And speaking of that, so this is one of the seasonals that just like Yule, it's very tree oriented.
Hmm.
Okay.
I used to have a dogwood out at the side of the house here, and unfortunately, I don't know if it had a disease, some type of tree thing that happened to it, but I had to have it, removed. But there's some more little
And one
trees.
of the things that we find with this seasonal is that the theme among the Celts, as they're called,
Mhm.
really just northwestern Europe. Celt is really like the wrong term. Teutonic is actually encompasses all that, but Celt actually kind of doesn't. The Irish and the Scottish weren't actually Celt. They were conquered by the Celts.
Mhm.
Um, so
Yeah,
so there's baggage with the term that doesn't quite fit. But
interesting.
some of the verses that I've before we go on to reflect on the poem, Genesis 21:16, Leviticus 19:37, Numbers 16:30, Joshua 15:19, Amos 4:11, Matthew 5:22, 23, 29, 30, 33, chapter 6, 22 to 23, 10, 28, 34, 14, 6, 21, 5, 23, 33, Mark 14:54, Luke 5:3, and 12:5, Acts 20:16 and 24:13, 2 Corinthians 10:4, 2 Timothy 1:6, 2 Peter 2:4, Revelations 1:16. And some of those, if you read it in English, you may not get that hell is being referred to, but
Mhm.
I just thought that those verses summarize the biblical view of hell. Now
Mhm.
we do have the mention of the seven hells, which I sent you the graphic for elsewhere, and I talked about in regard to the other thing and the names and
Mhm.
stuff. It's quite the important thing. But
I
to
just,
reflect upon what I have written, bouncing
mhm.
off the Feraferia, Church of Hermetic Science, Ordo Templi Astartes material. A foolish man casts forth the flaming sword and works with the air that lasts. The blacksmith sets the fire opal within. She is led from the underworld to witness the external flashes and budding that is of the inner world's descent. Erish Kigal will not betray the loyal. Patiently with the temporal, the onx will not be held back from its stance as royal. cold and wet to cold and dry, emerge to unite the cults of the acausal. We stand on high as goats and rise as snakes between the boundaries which were released from hell. Run kavmuzm niv kazi is okay kaz merzgdu yilks. The cost of it all is comparatively slight. We accept the flesh and beyond this world in this fight. The signs of Nox and Lux set it tight. We are anointed, burned, and unknown in our plight. We come to know that which is, by your will, right. We offer our pure blood and the impure blood of our enemies with might upon the next 7 new moons, and an 8th with an initiator is the rites. Ecclesia, Diabolic, Gnostica, by the Astral Seal of Aphos, and the 7 fires, blights, lift us from the curse of false light this very night. Now, so the EBG has their seal of bringing out light at the top there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think green fits because it has that sort of feel to it. And Ereshkigal in the myth is, taken out of hell. So I think, at least to me, this all blends together quite well.
Mm-hmm.
And so we see the rotation towards the right-hand path or yoga, and the rotation towards the left, the left-hand path or tantra. And the pitchfork, so the weapon thereof, and the star. And so you're bringing out your own real light. So whatever one's themes on that, and some people say pure blood. It's like, no, it's beyond something of race or something, because it's the EBG is a group that they, they're not like all one hair colored people, that sort of stuff.
Right. I picked up on
and like that quote I found you. That quote I found yesterday or the day before or something like that on Twitter about somebody. People think that I'm people are surprised to find out I'm not Rh negative. If you think that you're better because you're part of the 15% of the world or 85% because of that blood type, that's
right.
not quite right. That's not racism. That's something a little bit different, but it's pretty close, right?
Right. Things like that don't matter. Skin tones.
It's like your indigo children. It's like, okay, you don't get frostbite as easy,
Titles and labels mean they're nothing. I guess people must feel a need to feel good about themselves. I don't know. It's strange.
But see, don't you think the star in the middle kind of has that Astaroth kind of feel to it?
Yeah.
The Pleiades and that sort of stuff.
Copying it down.
What we have reference to the own power, the dawn. The Uti is the dawn, right? I think. Kaboism vibrations are earth. Z, that's something about one's own power. I'll look it up, but so you don't have to have a real opals can be super expensive. Like my whole one side of the family, there's like one it's not mine. Of course that's things like that are for the women of the family, not the men. But the I didn't even know about it, but apparently there was that someone in the family had an opal, and so it's been passed from woman to woman for at least a couple generations.
Neat.
And so a lot of this stuff, I do have an onyx. but onyx is one of those cheaper stones. One of the temptations using magical tools and all that other stuff is to get the expensive stuff, and it's like, no, you don't need gold. Get yourself a yellow pencil or crayon.
Speaking of the
Get yourself,
star,
and if you're going to etch stuff in symbols and have stuff in metal and stuff, get one of those carving little screwdriver thingers. And
that the star reminds me of something I was doing just, well, here in the past few evenings and earlier today. The middle pillar, I believe, no, I'm sorry, excuse me on that. It was the LBR, about where you imagine them flaming blue, electric blue, and you make, one in front of you and to the south and west and north, and connecting them.
I've kind of given, like, for example, my pentagram rite, if you've seen my video for that or something where I do that, instead of so we have Kaudam Mazrach. Oh wait, no, never mind. Oh, hold on. I'm thinking something else. Mazrach. So in the east is the wilderness, the desert, the evening, Teeman R, Munber R, Chunder R, Drum, Shaul. So in the south is the drawn out placing at the end, the causal realm, the renewing place. And by R, I don't mean that this is one of the words said. I'm just giving the options here. Yum R, Mabwa, Yup. So to the west is the sending things down, or the clouds, but it's a word for hell at the same time. So, and then of course, Tsapuni or Mizrah, Gulgul. So in the north is the cyclical or the wheel, or that sort of thing. So kind of like the Ouroboros sort of thing going on, but like the negative impact of the Ouroboros. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we, so I've gone over that elsewhere. So I'm, just tying things in together a little bit. So 1:37 p.m. Pacific time, Saturday, February 3rd is the next cross quarter. In 2023, and people doing their seasonals, I would recommend for this year, coming years, something like this, make a note of when the cross quarter, solstice, and equinox points are, because if you're going to observe the closest sunset and that sort of stuff, it's good to have a heads up if the information for some reason isn't available in the coming months. And some other verses before we go further here. So in the Quran, we have Surah 2, ayat 24, 39, 80, 81, 126, 167, 174, 175, 201, 217, 221, 257, 275, 397, 421, 628, 741, and 92, 8, 16, 9, 63, 13, 18, 14, 29, 1543, 1629, 1763, 1802, 1986, 2074, 2198, 65, 25, 65, 29, 54, 32, 13, 35, 16, 36, 63, 38, 56, 39, 32, 40, 49, 43, 74, 46, 48, 6, 50, 30, 55 versus 43 and 44, 66, 9, 78, 21, 85, 10, 89, 23, 92, 14 and 15, 96, 8, 98, 6, which is interesting, is one of the verses that mentions hell is the without any doubt that the word is that we're referring to hell is 98.6. That's that before doing this, I never noticed that was the thing. And of course, 101, 11 to 8. 101 verse 8 to 11. And I have I was considering when I set out to do this, I was thinking maybe I should just include the verses that mention the 7 different types of hell and start with this verse here about the what's the word about the fire that has the fuel of men and stones. I thought that would be we'll go over and more fully respond in a minute here, but that's the listing of verses. But relating to that one group, I found it interesting. Anything is possible, or whatever that phrase is that you say 77 times. Why 77 times the number? I think about that. Why was 77 times chosen?
True. There's a lot of 7 references in the Bible. If I'm
And you think of the tarot. The tarot is that's the same thing too. The tarot, like, okay, if you take out the devil card, you have 77. So is that what was intended, or
that's a
so
good
what
point.
was this person intending when they decided to do that with their thing? So
that's a good point. Very good.
So I'll start with the black verses. If you have any ideas about the seasonals. The cross quarters do mention the female. It's the focus is more on the female. So Ereshkigal is sort of a Persephone sort of figure. The mythology's older, like that sort of stuff matters, but sometimes it's actually not. It's just that's what we have historically. Because what's the guy's name? Let me look up the guy. How do you say that? John Pierre Ispo? Is that the guy's name? That
Not
archaeologist? Sure. He totally has it right when he says that they weren't referring to truth in the same way that we are referring to truth. You know? Is that it wasn't about the myths, like they had their purpose. So let's just try to at least get this here. Genesis 21:16, and went and sat down at a distance, a bowshot away, for she thought, let me not look on as the child dies, and sitting thus afar, she burst into tears. And so that verse, well, I guess that makes sense, a hell on earth. I forget which word we're going to have, but when I reflect on these verses, I read the original.
Right. I was just getting
and so on.
Could Ereshkigal, I was doing a little research, and I found that some call her the queen of the underworld, and then she's referred to as Queen of the Great World. Could this be a clue as to the underworld? What's called the underworld being Earth?
Well,
I mean,
the myth is, so she makes her way out, and there's beings of the boundaries. It's related to stuff about the tigress and that sort of stuff. But there's these snakes of the boundaries. Now there's these consciousness boundaries, both in ascent and descent, but she's a master of it. And this is before the birth, but you're transitioning from the wet and the dry. And I mean, it depends on where you're at, where the climate really is. But
mhm.
and yeah, she's. But some entities don't care about who's loyal to them or something. But Erishka Gall's supposed to stay to the those who are loyal to her is the myth. And Leviticus 19:37, you shall faithfully observe all my laws and all my rules. I am the Lord. So I guess a way out sort of situation, and throw in your comment at any one of these.
Okay.
Just making sure we got one set done. And
Okay.
and Numbers 16:30. But if the Lord, by Lord they mean Yahweh, so Lord's not really translation, brings about something unheard of, so that the ground opens its mouth and swallows them up with all that belongs to them, and they go down alive into Sheol, you shall know that these men have spurned the Lord. And oh yeah, that would be freaky too. If you
Yeah, I just got a visual picture
if you
in my
saw the
mind.
earth swallow up people. And
Yeah, yeah, I just got a big visual in my mind.
But
That
see,
would
that
definitely be
word,
an
there's more
underworld.
references in some of these words. I just thought to make it one each.
Uh-huh.
Joshua 15:19. She replied, give me a present, for you have given me away as Negeb land. So give me springs of water. And he gave her upper and lower Guloth. Okay, so Erishkigal is sort of a, she's, that descent into hell and then coming out. That's, I can't help but feel like this is where the Bible got the Jesus thing from, that part of the Jesus story from, is the Erishkigal. Okay.
Yeah.
But Negeb was like the wilderness along their way that they were trying to flee from. And so the last one in here is Amos. Oh, and one thing that said, when you turn to Tanakh there, you end up with different order. Some of the chapters are in different order, because of course they're trying to have a different feeling. It's like, if have you ever read a translation or listened to the Rig Veda and then noticed how it's the same thing as the Samaveda?
No.
So a lot of the Samaveda is a rearrangement of the Rig Veda, but there's other material in there too.
Okay.
And so Amos 4:11. I have wrought destruction among you, as when God rained that destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, and you have become like a brand plucked from burning, yet you have not turned back to me, declares the Lord. Now, again, not Lord's not a real translation of that, but that fire and brimstone stuff.
Yeah.
It's Amrah, but older versions of Aramea have more letters. So instead of 22 letters, you have up to 30. So the Ein and the Dain, instead of that eyeball, you have that twisted rope going on. And So in Revelations 1:18, and the living one and I became dead, and behold, alive I am to the ages of the ages. Amen. And have the keys over Hades and death. So see, that's what you're supposed to do with the myths. You're supposed to embody the thing yourself rather than vicariously relying on it. Is that you indulge in these things, and then you know, what do you become dead to? You know, it's like this thing says, the curse of the false light. You know, because I think I mentioned that Aphos is like the light producing. Yeah.
Could you read that? Could you read that verse over again? I'm thinking afterlife for some reason.
Yeah, this life and the afterlife is things. Okay. Yeah. And the living one and I became dead, and behold, alive I am to the ages of the ages. Amen. And have the keys of Hades and of death. So here's where the Gnostic thing comes in, because Ionas. If you know what was going on for a few centuries before any part of the Christian New Testament was written, so Aphos is the bringer of light. So again, you become the bringer of light. But you go in the realm of dead. It's not just some other being goes in the realm of dead and you just claim it for yourself. You are actually going there yourself, just like I mentioned about my in my previous seasonal, that blackness that crept in on me. Now, you know, some of the associations of some of these terms kind of like go a bit, you know, what's one to do with that? But so 2 Peter 2:4, for if God, the angels who sinned, spare not, but to chains of darkness, having cast them to the deepest abyss, delivered them from judgment, having been kept. So just like Ereshkigal gets help in her way, as the myth goes, Ereshkigal gets help in her way out of the hell. And then the snakes, she's with the snakes. She has the other beings. So there's some consciousness stuff going on in the symbolism of that. But it's not quite the Lilith stories. That's not what we're talking about.
Right.
But of course, the true God, rather than some fantasy about some limitations that humans have with the whole thing. 2 Timothy, it's the 3:16. Okay, yeah. 2 Timothy 3:16. That is one of the strongest things saying that the Bible is not the word of God you can possibly have. Every scripture is God inspired, profitable for teaching, conviction, and for correction, and for discipline, which is in righteousness. And so you look at that, and it's clear from how some of the stuff is written, it's not inspired, it's philosophical. It's investigating what's claimed about others, about what's going on in the community and what they say about what happened. That's not inspired, so that word doesn't apply. And some of the stories are just gross, or something wrong with some of the stories. So so you question that. At least I do. But
yeah, that's very interesting.
So that's my favorite 3:16 in the Bible. People talk about John 3:16, and it really doesn't mean much if you look at it. If you believe it's very important, then you get that impression of it. But 2 Timothy 1:6, for which cause I remind thee to kindle up the gift of God which is in thee by the laying of my hands. Okay. Some stuff that you run across their reference. Let me check how many minutes I have. Okay. But again, you got this power that is acted out, because the hands represent a physical action going on. 2 Corinthians 10:4, for the arms of warfare are not fleshly, but powerful through God to the overthrow of strongholds. Okay. Of course, you have to, one has a spiritual side, but if you want liberated, you gotta, again, act out what's to be acted out, whatever.
Right.
Acts. Okay, I'll start with 24. 24:13. Neither to prove are they able the things concerning which now they accuse me. And it's very much become the trend to accuse without any reason. To accuse without any connection to whether or not something's true. And I think it's very important because that kind of creates sort of a hell for yourself, because you don't know if anything that supports it. But
yeah, that's so true.
in 2016, for had decided Paul to sail by Ephesus, so that it might not happen to him to spend time in Asia, for he hastened, if possible, it was for him the day of Pentecost to be in Jerusalem. So we have the number 50 being drawn attention to, which is a very important number, of course. And book 12:5. So what was the cards? Oh, we're almost done here. Let me find the
I had those wrote down somewhere.
Okay, the calendar cards. Okay, so we're into the spring quarter. We see the Ace and Princess of Swords with the Fool as both Uranus and air. Imbolc, the start of the warming quarter, the Empress, D, 5, the Hierophant, W, and 7, the Chariot, CH. And of course, I know that's the letters are Dalet, Wow, and Cheth, but and I say the Ace and Prince. Okay, yeah, I got that. March, we have the King of Cups, and 17, the Star is, oh, not March, February, sorry. The King, the Queen of Wands, and the 15, the Devil is Capricorn. And we got, is it this, okay. It's the 6, right? Yeah. The 6 of Wands. This is Jupiter in Leo, or Jupiter in Capricorn is victory. And Sunday, because the sun set closest to, so 19, the sun. And I think that's it with the cards to find for next time, because we are coming for sort of a end of this program here. Any thoughts about the symbol? I will say, like the Necronomicon, don't fall for that bit. The thing that you're supposed to do is you're supposed to use the names. There are no sigils in that. They don't use sigils, not the Cadians, the Sumerians, or whatever. They use the power of the name and how the name is written. There's symbolic elements of the lettering.
Right.
And you notice it's interesting how it's sort of shaped. It's almost like you kind of know it's a female before finding out that it's female.